Mr. Deputy Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. And I see we're all in the holiday spirit, so we're out tonight. I'd like to call this Development Services Committee meeting to order. Before reading the land acknowledgement, just a couple of housekeeping matters. Be sure to silence your cell phones. And when you're speaking at the podium, please adjust the microphone so that you can be heard clearly, as the matter is being recorded for public record. And I will say that the public shall respect the decorum of the meeting, refrain from public outbursts or behavior intended to disrupt the discussion, and shall respect the rights and dignity of all persons present, not ridicule or demean or intimidate any person. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe people and the ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Ottawa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for Indigenous people, including the historic Métis community in Penetanguishene. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of the Rama First Nation, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory, and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared and sustainable and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward together in reconciliation. May we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Clark. It is recommended that the agenda for the Development Services Committee meeting of Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025 be received and approved.
All those in favor? The motion is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none. If anyone finds themselves in that situation, please declare it at that time. May we have a motion to approve the draft minutes of the previous Development Service Committee meeting?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended that the draft minutes of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 be received and approved as printed and circulated.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions with regard to the meeting minutes? No, there are none. May I, all those in favor? The motion is carried. There are no public meetings tonight, so we have on the agenda 6 public hearings, the first of which is item number DS 2025136. But prior to that, I'm just going to explain the process for each of the public hearings. So I'll summarize the process. Each application will be considered separately. Staff will advise of the purpose and effect of each application, provide any relevant information, note any correspondence that has been received to date, and advise of any statement received from the applicant or if the applicant intends to make a presentation. If so, the applicant will then be given the opportunity to make a brief presentation. After the presentation, any members of the public who have been registered to provide comments or who are in chambers will be given the opportunity to speak to the application being considered. The Deputy Clerk will advise of those who have registered. And finally, staff will confirm if any further correspondence has been received during the public hearing. There will be a separate statement read at the beginning of each hearing. So with that, item 6A on the agenda is a application number 2025A38. The applicant is Amar, and the municipal address is 5 Pine Ridge Trail. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comment with respect to the minor variance application 2025A38 submitted by Gabrielle and Colleen Amar on lands municipally known as 5 Pine Ridge Trail. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been any correspondence received on the matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division dated November 18, 2025.
Thank you very much. And I'll turn the meeting over to Andy Karaskakis, Manager of Planning Services, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Karaskakis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2025A38 has been submitted for lands located at 5 Pine Ridge Trail. The subject property has a lot size of approximately 0.2 hectares and consists of a 1.5 story house with approximately square footage of 150 square meters or 1,624 square feet with no garage. The subject property is designated low-density residential in the Township's official plan and is zoned residential 1, exception 63 in the Township's zoning bylaw. The applicants are proposing to build a detached accessory building, a detached garage. The applicants are seeking relief to the following section of zoning bylaw 9795 and the section 5.13 permitted locations for detached accessory buildings. Detached garages are not permitted to be located in the front yard, and the applicant is proposing to locate the detached accessory building in the front yard approximately 11.9 meters from the front property line. The applicant also prepared a site plan drawing indicating the location of the proposed detached garage. So on the screen in front of you shows the proposed detached garage in a red hatched pattern located in front of the dwelling, approximately 11 meters from the front lot line. The applicant also prepared architectural renderings showing the proposed design and look of the detached garage. So in the screen in front of you show the 4 sides of the proposed detached garage. The image on the left shows an aerial photo of the subject property outlined in red. And the image on the right shows the subject property outlined in a purple dashed line, which just indicates the zone of the subject property. The images on the screen there show the views looking along Pine Ridge Trail, and also the public notice sign, which has been posted in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. This image here shows a view of the subject property from the street. So straight away you see the existing dwelling on the property. Beside the dwelling, on either side of the dwelling, you show the existing dwellings, the neighboring dwellings. And which you'll see on later images, the 2 vehicles that are parked on the left side of the driveway is the proposed location of the detached garage. So committee, the images here show the proposed location of the detached garage. So the image on the left shows straight away from the front yard looking towards the dwelling. The image in the middle of the screen shows an angular view of the proposed location of the garage in the context of the abutting property to the south. And the image on the right shows the location of the garage looking along the interior common lot line. So committee, planning staff have reviewed the minor variance application in relation to the provisions of the Planning Act and are of the opinion that it meets the 4 tests of the minor variance and are recommending approval is subject to the conditions outlined on the screen and contained within the staff report. Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karaskakis. I now ask the agent, Brianna Allen, who is registered to speak to the application, and if she has any additional comments or provide any further information with regard to the staff report. Ms. Allen, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation, Andy.
Just state your name. Sorry.
Sorry, Brianna Allen. Thank you for the presentation, Andy. There's not much to add. One thing I'd like to point out is there are multiple properties in the area that do have detached garages in the front yard. So we are kind of matching what the neighborhood does have currently. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Members of the committee, do you have any questions for either staff or, yeah, Councillor Hutchison, please?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lafont, or Chair for the evening. Yeah, I had the opportunity to take a drive by the property, and as the planner had mentioned, there's numerous properties within the community with detached garages on the outside of their house. There has been no objection from neighbors, so I would be in support of the approval.
Thank you very much for that. Any other committee questions? Yep, seeing none. Is there anyone registered to speak to the matter, either present or via Zoom?
The applicants had registered to provide comments, just to confirm if they would like to provide any additional information.
Okay. Are the applicants satisfied with what has been said so far? Would they like to add anything? They are indicating that they do not. Okay, thank you. With that, have we received any additional correspondence during the course of the...
No, Mr. Chair,
No.
nothing further has been received.
Okay, perhaps I need to go back as well, though. Is there anyone here who came to speak to this matter? No, seeing none. Thank you very much. May we hear the motion, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-136, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, Minor Variance Application 2025-A38, Amar, 5 Pine Ridge Trail, be received and adopted. Two, that minor variance application 2025-A38, specifically to permit a detached accessory building, garage, to be located in the front yard approximately 11.9 meters, 39.0 feet, from the front lot line on lands municipally known as 5 Pine Ridge Trail, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-136. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments with regard to the motion? Okay, seeing none, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? Thank you very much. The motion is carried, and you shall have a garage in your front yard. Thank you. This completes the application process and closes this hearing. So the committee wishes to thank those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to this application. So thank you very much. We're okay to proceed to the next item, which is 6B on the agenda. It is application 2025-A39. The applicants are La Chance and Mott on 5259 line 8 north. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance 2025-A39, submitted by Melanie Lachance and Jeremy Mott on lands municipally known as 5259 line 8 north. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, have there been any correspondence received on the matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division dated November 17, and Ministry of Transportation dated November 17, 2025.
Thank you very much. I now turn the meeting over to Andy Karaskakis, Manager of Planning Services, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Karaskakis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minor variance application 2025-A39 has been applied for on lands located at 5259 line 8 north. The property fronts onto line 8 north to the west, Highway 400 to the south, and has a lot area of 7.1 hectares. Property contains a dwelling, shed, significant woodland, and unevaluated wetland on the property. The subject property is designated greenlands in accordance with the township's official plan and is zoned agricultural, rural, and environmental protection in the township zoning bylaw. The applicants are proposing to construct 2 additions to the existing dwelling within the required setback to the environmental protection zone and are seeking relief to the following section of zoning bylaw 9795. So section 5.27, setbacks from the limits of the environmental protection zone. It requires a minimum 30-meter setback, and the applicants are proposing to be set back 4.9 meters from the limits of the environmental protection zone. So it should be noted that the current dwelling and the proposed additions are located in the agricultural rural zone, but there is a provision where all structures must meet a 30-meter setback from the environmental protection zone. So on the image on the screen here shows a site plan prepared by the applicant. So the existing dwelling is shown on the screen there, and the proposed addition is outlined in a red outline. The environmental protection zone is in there's an EP zone noted on the drawing there, and then there's a curved line which shows the limits of the environmental protection zone. And the applicants are proposing to be set back the 4.9 meters back from the limits of that environmental protection zone. The applicant has also prepared architectural renderings of the proposed addition. So on the screen here shows the existing dwelling located on the left side of the screen, which shows the second-story deck. And on the right side there shows the proposed additions, which is to incorporate a dwelling addition and also an attached garage. Image on the screen here shows the different perspectives, the elevations of the existing dwelling and the proposed additions. The image on the left side of your screen shows an aerial photo of the subject property outlined in red. The image on the center of the screen is an excerpt from the township's official plan, which details the natural heritage, environmental protection features, and the subject property is outlined in purple, which shows the unevaluated wetlands and the significant woodlands and the stream located on the property. The image on the right shows the subject property outlined in purple as well, and shows the agricultural rural zones and the environmental protection zones as it applies on the subject property. Images on the screen here shows the public notice sign erected in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, and also views looking north and south of Line 8 North. A couple of images here show the views of the existing dwelling. So the view of the existing dwelling from the street is shown on the right side of the screen, and getting further into the property shows the subject property and the mature trees located on the property, which wraps around the existing dwelling. A couple more images here show the existing dwelling and the location of the proposed addition. It's proposed to be located behind the dwelling, and on the next screen here shows the location of the proposed addition. So it's located in a cleared area. There may be some site alteration that may need to occur, site regrading, but no trees or vegetation is proposed to be removed to facilitate the proposed additions. So, Mr. Chair, planning staff have reviewed the minor variance application in context of the provisions of the Planning Act and the 4 tests, and are the opinion that it represents good planning and it meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, and are recommending approval subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report. Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Karskakis. So now ask the agent, Albert Donadio, who's registered to speak, if he has any additional comments or information to add to the staff report. Mr. Donadio. Oh, yes, there we are. I can hear you.
Albert Donadio. Hi, Albert Donadio here. I don't have any additional comments other than they really need this garage and extended dwelling for their family, because they have a small house there, and it is in a cleared area. And I walked it. I did the design work for it, and I think that there shouldn't be any issues for drainage or anything like that.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. With that, any committee members have any comments with regard to this proposed addition? Seeing none. Is there anyone registered to speak to this matter either in chambers or via Zoom?
There were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who came here tonight to speak to this matter? Seeing no one who wishes to speak to this matter, have there been any further communications with regard to this during the course of the hearing?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Comments received by the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority received earlier today, and they advised that they have no concerns or no comments, no objection to the approval of the minor variance application, subject to the applicant obtaining a permit from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, may we hear the motion, please, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-137, Andy Karaskakis, Manager Planning Services, minor variance application 2025A39, Mott and LaChance, 5259 Line 8 North, be received and adopted. Two, that minor variance application 2025A39, specifically to permit the construction of additions to the existing dwelling within 4.9 meters, 16.0 feet of the required setback to the Environmental Protection EP Zone on lands municipally known as 5259 Line 8 North, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-137. Three, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion itself? Oh, seeing none, may I call a vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. With that, the construction can proceed. So this completes the application process and closes this hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. So thank you very much. And with that, we can now move on to item 6C, application 2025A40. The applicant is Taylor, and the municipal address is 35 Nordic Trail. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2025A40, submitted by Courtney and Roderick Taylor on lands municipally known as 35 Nordic Trail. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence from Melanie Ward dated November 14. The following dated November 15. Christian Struthman, Camilla Berghoff, Gina Taylor, Michelle Bolth, Holly and Brandon Charlebois, Aaron Jennings, Robin Covey. The following dated November 16, Jennifer Dumas, Andrea Reyes, Melissa Matoya. It's dated November 16 and November 19. Andrew Crowan is, the following is dated November 17, Andrew Crowan, Jen Rapson, Wyatt and Sawyer Jennings. The following was dated November 18, Rhonda Smith Noble, Scott Baines, Shannon Russell ×2, Laura Houston, P. Gage, Pamela Roy. The following dated November 19, Mary Sheridan ×3, Paul Grass, Ava, dated November 19, Craig Ortwine, Claire Ortwine, Michelle J., Courtney Millward, Paul Cornell. The following dated November 20, Andrea Bertram, Amy Patterson, Casey Gall, Kevin Houston, Carrie Howard. The following dated November 21, Kelsey Graves, Lori Cumming, Lisa Rollo, Paul Noble, Anna Kabek, Allison Reed, Carter Crone, Emily Bale, Emma Foley, Jordan Hunter, Jim McNabb, Lisa Burns, Linda Crone, Nicole Blanchard, Catherine Corcola, Alexandra Dufin, Kelly Cadeau. The following dated November 22, Deborah Bougele, Nicholas Millward, Greg Dorr, Michaela Jacobs, Sarah Fell, residents of Nordic Trail, Udo Waldner, Erica Samaskic, Dawn Greger, Samantha Shepard, Carol Richardson, dated November 22 and November 24, Pierre Joyal, dated November 22 and November 24, Nina Broom, dated November 22, Ross Patterson, Bill Ramberls, Leanna Hammond, Tammy Johns, Kathleen Sharon. The following dated November 23rd, Christine Patterson, Dwayne Barber, Deanna Reed, Mark and Terry Gortnar, Rick Myers, Susan Joint, James Myers, Leanna DeMarco, Sherry Elliott, Michelle Meyer, Jillian Holleruck. The following dated November 24, Todd Moser, Brooke McFarland, Chris Holleruck, Mark Roca, Stephen Cadu. Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, dated November 25th. Jason Pinto, the 25th. Mr. and Ms. Plaskinka, November 25th. Andy and Lydia Harvey, November 27. Rick Durstnoff, dated December 1st. And Tracy and Rick Holmagan, dated, Tracy and Rick Holman, burst off, dated November 23rd, 2025.
Thank you very much. Anybody need to hear the list again? Thank you. Appreciate your patience. I now turn the meeting over to Mr. George Vadaboncourt, Manager of Planning and Special Projects, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Mr. Vadaboncourt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, members of committee and the public. So I'm going to speak to minor variance application 2025 A40. It's for a property located at 35 Nordic Trail. The image on the screen shows the property. It was a lot that was created in 2012 via severance. It's 0.2 hectares in size, or a half acre. The official plan designation for the property is Horseshoe Valley and low density residential. The zoning is residential 1, exception 140, and the current use is residential and home occupation. So the purpose of the application is to the owners who currently operate a boutique gym on their property wish to conduct occasional outdoor activities associated with their business on their driveway and or rear yard between April and October, and display outdoor fitness equipment on their driveway during that period. The applicants are seeking relief to two sections of the home occupation provisions of zoning bylaw 9795. The one is permission to use the driveway or rear yard for outdoor activities. And the second is for the display of fitness equipment on the driveway or rear yard. Next slide, please. Maybe we can flip past that one as well. So this slide indicates the criteria under the zoning bylaw with respect to home occupations. And home occupations are a permitted use in the R1 zone, and they can take a variety of forms. They can be a hair salon, they could be a private daycare, home occupations can take a variety of forms, but the key is that they're incidental, accessory, and secondary to the use of the property. And the slide shows the various criteria under Section 512 of the zoning bylaw. And there are two areas where the variances are being sought. So the first one is highlighted, shall be conducted entirely within a detached accessory dwelling and or main building on the lot. And then going down, shall not involve outdoor storage or outdoor display of materials or finished products. So those are the two areas. All the other elements, the home occupation complies. Secondary use of the lot, conducted at least one of the residents of the dwelling unit, shall not create noise, vibration, fumes, odor, etc. Shall not employ more than one employee, and shall not require the receipt or delivery of merchandise or equipment at the property. So just a quick summary of the zoning provisions for a home occupation from the zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. So this is the applicant's site plan. It shows the property at the end of Nordic Trail. It has the highlights where the fitness facility is in the garage, the delineation of the property, and the dimensions of the property. Next slide, please. So during the public consultation period, Mr. Chair, there were comments received with respect to the private path that exists adjacent to the applicant's property. So these two images here, the one on the left is the plan of subdivision that shows the three lots fronting on Oakmount Avenue, and the path is a private path that's at the rear of these properties, so lots 42, 43, and 44. And the image on the right shows a preliminary plot plan for the lot, which again shows the path outside of the applicant's property. So it's in fact owned by the property owners that front on Oakwood Avenue. It's a private path. And from the site visit that I conducted, there are signs there that say it's a private facility. So again, just to address comments received. Next slide, please. So other comments received pertain to parking and parking restrictions. And there's no stopping or parking permitted in the cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac is in the process of being signed. The posts are in, but the signs are not there yet, as of this morning anyway. And the area in green is basically an area that does permit on-street parking, but we're now into the winter restriction period from December 1st to April 1st, and there's no parking permitted on any road in Oro-Medonte from 2 p.m. until 12 noon. So essentially, the mornings people are not permitted to park on the street for winter maintenance operations. But after April 1st, that area in green, people are permitted to park. The only parking restriction is in the cul-de-sac, and that's year round. Next slide, please. So these images, the one on the left shows the lot, and then it shows the houses that front on Oakmount Avenue, and the extension right to the edge of the lot. The image in the center shows the township official plan, which has the properties designated as low density residential. And the image on the right shows the zoning for the property, which is R1, exception 140. Next slide, please. So these are some images of the property, and the image on the left shows the placard posted as is a requirement. The image in the center is looking down Nordic Trail from the end of the cul-de-sac, and the image on the right is the end of the cul-de-sac with the subject property in the center of the image. Next slide, please. So these images show a little bit more detail. So the image on the left is the driveway serving 35 Nordic Trail. The image in the center is the side yard with the neighbor to the east. And then the image on the right is the view of the property looking west back up toward Oakmount in the distance. And you can just see the houses in the background there. Next slide, please. So this image on the left shows the commencement of the private trail, and you can see a fence that demarks the applicant's property. And under the leaves there is a paved pathway that is on private property, and you can see the outline of the roofs of the properties on Oakmount Avenue just in the background. The image on the right is the side of the house and the fence that was installed, and you can see a little bit of the trail, and that delineates the applicant's property and then the private property of the Oakmount residents. Next slide, please. So these images show the rear yard, and in discussions with the applicant has agreed to relocate the 2 pieces of fitness equipment that are proposed to be used outdoors to the rear patio area. And that rear patio area is shown on the left slide, and there's a garage door there, and you can see that the patio area, that's where the two pieces of fitness equipment would be located. The door on the right is the entrance into the fitness facility. So the center image shows the screen to the patio area, and the image on the right shows the rear yard and the proximity to the neighbor's home. And you can see that the proposed fitness area is outdoor fitness area is screened from the neighbor with the house being there. Next slide, please. So these images show the property to the west, and that is a hill. This is all private property, and this is the treed area heading up to the properties on Oakmount Avenue, and it's well buffered from the homes on Oakmount. The image in the center is the access to the rear entrance, so patrons of the fitness facility enter the fitness facility on this pathway. And the image on the right is a close-up of the patio area and the entrance where the 2 pieces of fitness equipment are to be located. And the minor variance is to permit them to be located outdoors for the period April 1st until October 30th. And after that, they would be indoors. So next slide, please. These are some images of the indoors of the fitness facility. You can see various pieces of equipment. The image in the center at the back, there are 2 portable pieces of fitness equipment, and those are the 2. One is a cycling machine, and one is a elliptical machine, and those would be the pieces of fitness equipment that would be proposed to move outside. And the image on the right is a different angle showing the entrance to the facility, the door at the back there. Next slide, please. So these images show the close-up of the parking area, and then looking back to Nordic Trail. So just looking at the driveway and the length of the driveway, depending on the length of the vehicle, it could probably fit between 6 and 8 cars on there. So we've looked at from the standpoint in terms of the owner having 2 cars, and so can you fit 5 cars on the driveway, and depending on the size, there is room to fit 5 cars on that driveway. Next slide, please. So staff have reviewed the application submitted by Courtney and Roderick Taylor, and are recommending that it be approved on the basis that it meets the 4 tests of minor variance under the Planning Act, is in conformity and consistent with applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies, and represents good planning. Staff are recommending 3 conditions of approval listed on this slide and the following slide, including a requirement that owners enter into a development agreement under the Planning Act to address a number of operational matters, and a requirement that the owners obtain a change of use permit and issuance of occupancy under the building code for the conversion of the garage into a gym. And on the slide here is some of the considerations that will be going in the development agreement, that the owner limit the fitness class size to 5 participants for each class or drop-in session, that any fitness equipment proposed to be located externally to the dwelling unit, to be located on the rear patio. That said, fitness equipment only be located for the period April to October. That the fitness activities external to the dwelling unit be limited to the driveway and the rear patio and only occur during the period of April to October. And that the owner ensure that any music played in conjunction with fitness classes is played at a volume that is not likely to be audible at the point of reception at neighboring properties. And that the owner organize their classes so that there's 15-minute intervals provided between classes to allow customers to leave the premise and new customers to arrive. And that owner shall ensure that parking is made available in the driveway for clients of the home occupation, that the driveway is maintained seasonally, and that the owner obtain a change of use permit and issue of occupancy under the Ontario Building Code. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadaboncourt. Now ask the agent, Andrea Kelly, who is registered to speak, if she has any further comment or information to provide with regard to the application. Ms. Kelly?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay?
We can indeed. Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the application. For the record, my name is Andrea Kelly. My address is 16 Daffodil Road in Minising. I am a registered professional planner and have provided professional planning services in Ontario as both a consultant and in the public sector for over 35 years. I am the author of the planning opinion report that was submitted with the minor variance application, and I'm speaking on behalf of the owners of 35 Nordic Trail this evening. Courtney and Rod Taylor are in the audience with you this evening. I have read the township planning staff's report on this matter, and I think the staff have done a good job of explaining the context of the application. They've done a great job of presenting the technical information and the planning policy applicable to the application, as well as explaining the merits and challenges of the application in the proper Planning Act framework. They've also provided their professional planning opinion as to whether or not the application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, which allows you this evening to make an informed decision. I think that staff have also done an admirable job finding solutions to many of the issues raised by members of the community who have expressed concern and or objection to the minor variance for outdoor activities associated with the home occupation. The Taylors are in support of the recommendations contained in the staff report and are prepared to enter into the development agreement that was mentioned in the staff presentation. That said, given that staff's report is a recommendation for the committee's consideration, and given that there were a number of letters submitted in opposition to the minor variance, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes of your time to share some comments for your consideration when the time comes later in the discussion for you to make a decision on the application. The first thing I'd like to address is the comments in a number of the letters of opposition that the gym is a commercial operation, and as such that the minor variance to the home occupation standards should not be considered. The definition and the policy framework for home occupation is very clearly defined and set out in your official plan, in your zoning bylaw. The information is reinforced in the staff report and in my planning opinion report. The gym clearly meets the home occupation standard and is a permitted use. And I can only assume that perhaps that the people who are making comments about the commercial use claim are not registered professional planners and may not fully be aware of the legislative and policy framework that are associated with these land uses and that the committee would use to consider in their decision this evening. And I trust that the committee will use and rely on the professional opinions presented to you on this matter. The second point I'd like to comment on is parking. It has certainly been a hot topic, and a number of the concerns have been expressed about parking impacts. And again, I draw your attention to the township official plan, zoning bylaw, the staff report, where the requirements for parking is clearly shown as compliant as it stands today, with or without this minor variance request. The demand for parking and the supply of parking will not change as a result of the minor variance for outdoor uses. The driveway, as indicated by staff, provides adequate parking for the home occupation and the residential use. In addition, street parking is permitted, as noted in the staff report, outside of the cul-de-sac bulb, as long as it is between April and December. Obviously, the winter months, there's no parking in the mornings on the street. You know, as a sign of good faith, the Taylors have agreed to the clause in the development agreement that's going to stagger the class times in an effort to try and maybe reduce some of the perceived conflict on the street regarding parking. And I do hope that that the committee will understand that the parking, you know, is compliant and the minor variance doesn't change that. The last point I'd like to address is the comments made in many of the letters about the path, public access, and intimidation by the applicants. Township staff have highlighted this matter in their presentation, and that clarification is very much appreciated. We do believe that it needs to be publicly restated and explicitly clarified that the former golf cart path and associated land on the south side of the 35 Nordic Trail is private property. It belongs to several of the homes up on Oakmont. It is not a public access pathway, despite what some people think and how some people have chosen to behave. In addition, there are no public lands in behind this property to be accessed via this path. The land is an interior side yard, and you know, the comments that have been made in the letters of opposition regarding this path are misleading, and it's unfortunate that so much energy and community tension is being created as a result of a matter that absolutely has no bearing on this minor variance application. In addition, the suggestions that the Taylors have been aggressive and intimidating to residents trying to use or clear the path, again, are misleading and have no relevance or bearing on the minor variance application. The Taylors have a right to enjoy their side yard as laid out in the zoning bylaw. That's what interior side yards are for. Without random people walking around. And I'm sure that any resident would ask for respect and enforcement if people were walking up between their houses in any regular subdivision. The private property signs installed on the path property and on 35 Nordic Trail have the full support of the respective property owners. And while I've stated that the golf course has no bearing, the former golf course pathway has no bearing on this minor variance application, it is my hope that the committee will take this opportunity to correct the misinformation circulated with respect to the path. We can move on from that, not only with respect to this minor variance application, but in the ongoing use of that property. In conclusion, I would like to restate my professional planning opinion that this application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act for granting of a minor variance. The development agreement proposed by staff and included in the recommendation staff report is an appropriate tool to manage perceived community impacts. I respectfully request that the committee grant the minor variance, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kelly. Committee members, do you have any questions for staff or Ms. Kelly at this point? Councillor Schell, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Ms. Kelly. Thank you for speaking about the path. That was going to be one of my questions. I'm curious what it's there for, and does it open onto public property, or is it totally separate and private completely?
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is a former golf course pathway, like when the golf course did operate in that area, but it is private property. It is owned by 3 of the properties on Oakmont. It is part of their deed, and when the golf course was operating, there would have been an easement in favor of the golf course for the golf course path, but it is currently in their private ownership of the residents on Oakmont. So it is an interior side yard to the Taylor property. I will say that I'm sure that there's long-standing use of paths like this throughout the community, throughout almost any golf course community that I've ever worked on. People do use paths, and when they become, quote unquote abandoned, people continue to use them. But in this particular location, it is private property, and there is no public lands in behind there. There may be people who walk in the wooded area to gain access to, again, former golf course lands, but those are not in public ownership.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Any other questions or? Not unless it's raised. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vadamoncourt, for your presentation. I do have a question with regards to slide recommendation approved continued. It's the one that's on the screen. Section C. Can you please provide some greater clarity for us on the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding? So we did receive a report from building department with regards to some requirements that need to be met. Could you expand on that, please?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Hutchinson. Yes, the building department, when it was circulated, the minor variance application noted that the garage had been converted to a boutique gym. And so that triggers, under the building code, a change of use requirement. The garage is no longer being used for its original purpose. It's a fitness facility where the public has access. So there are certain provisions under the building code that need to be satisfied as part of that conversion. Or conversion and change of use. So the chief building official has flagged this. He has been in conversation with the agent, Ms. Kelly, to talk about a path forward in terms of how to deal with this. Ms. Kelly and I were in conversation as well, and we agreed that if that it would be appropriate to put it in as a requirement under the development agreement, that they satisfy that the owners make application for a change of use permit and obtain occupancy for the fitness facility.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Vadamoncourt. Councillor Bard, please.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you to the agent. I guess one of the current concerns that I would have is that, and from no experience on my own, that some people go to a gym fairly early in the morning. Is there opportunity or an appetite to include in the recommendations that this outdoor part of the gym is not to be used before, say, 7 a.m. or something similar to that, and not after certain hours? I'm just trying to think of if I was a neighbor and I was trying to sleep in and had my windows open and people were outside working out and waking me up, I might get a little frustrated. So is there an appetite to include an hours of operation? I appreciate the presentations from both staff and from you, and it looks like the willingness to find compromises, and that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that certainly we've had that conversation, and my suggestion was that any restriction with respect to the outdoor use continue and noise concerns continue to be aligned with the township's noise bylaw. So if the township's noise bylaw has a restriction about noise in the early mornings, then it would be appropriate to align the restrictions of this use to that. If there are no such restrictions in the noise bylaw, I don't think it would be appropriate to include it in the development agreement. That said, I'll also just note that the activity that is happening outdoor is not noisy activity. It is people walking up and down the driveway, doing lunges. It is, yes, there may be some rowing that's going to, going forward, be in the rear yard. So it certainly is not a concern of mine that there would ever be any exceedance of the noise bylaw. But if there are restrictions in timing in the noise bylaw, that would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Any further comments or questions? Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. Just a few questions I'll direct to staff. Mr. Van Boncourt, this sort of type of home occupation, it does fit the definition of a home occupation, what is being executed at this location?
Sorry, Your Worship, could you repeat that question?
It would fit the definition of a home occupation.
Yes, it would.
Okay, so it seems to be where the miss is before we get to the minor variance application is that there's been a miss in the change of use application being fulfilled properly and approved. Is that correct?
So in the normal course of affairs, the change of use would take place first, and then the home occupation would commence. In this particular case, the home occupation has been operating in accordance with the requirements under the zoning bylaw, but they have not satisfied the building code requirements, and that's where the change of use permission comes in.
Okay, so the change of use cannot happen until the building code requirements are fulfilled.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, that's correct, Your Worship.
Okay, so it would be my thinking that the proper process would be to defer this until the building code conditions are fulfilled and then bring the minor variance application forward to us. Would that not, would you suggest that would be the proper process to try and resolve this matter?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's certainly an option for committee, if committee so chooses. As I indicated in my earlier comments, I know the applicant's agent has been in conversation with the chief building official, so I think that process has started, but certainly it would be up to committee to determine that.
Okay. And it's Miss Kelly, I believe, is the agent. Miss Kelly, like, would your client be open to that? That, like, before we deal with the minor variance application, that they take the steps necessary to fulfill the building code requirements so that they can get the change of use application fulfilled?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Mr. Chair, in conversation with your chief building official, he has indicated to me that under the Ontario Building Code, there is no restriction from the gym continuing to be used to operate while the change of use permit is being pursued. And I had an explicit conversation with him about that, and certainly spoke to planning staff about that. So they are also aware of that comment. It is a very regular requirement. It happens all the time with use changes, and the chief building official has clearly indicated there is no reason why the gym cannot continue to operate under the Ontario Building Code while this change of use permit is is being pursued. As such, there is no reason why the minor variance cannot be dealt with at this time while the change of use continues to proceed through the process. Thank you.
Okay, but my concern would be that if we approve this minor variance at this point in time, the minor variance is for the equipment being outdoors, and the operations outlined in the report was April till October. We're now into December, so this would give you 4 months to get your building code matters to compliance, and therefore come at that time for the minor variance application. But I guess where I would like to see is that we don't approve something now and then the building code requirements don't get fulfilled or they get kicked down the road. So I think my perspective, and I can only speak for myself, is that we need to get the building code requirements in place, and it needs to be done in a fairly I'm sure if you work with the building department, they'll give you fair time parameters to fulfill them within, and then the application could come back. That would be my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, if I could add one additional comment for your consideration. The minor variance will not become in effect until the development agreement has been entered into. So the recommendation is to grant the minor variance subject to entering into the development agreement, which has a number of different components to it. So until the development agreement is entered into, there can be no outdoor activity, and the development agreement requires the change of use permit to be in place. So, what you're asking for is actually achieved because your staff have recommended the development agreement, and that achieves exactly what you are requesting. I'll also just, reiterate that the home occupation without the minor variance, so if everything stays within the dwelling, is a permitted use, and so it could continue. And yes, the change of use permit is still required, and we've committed to doing that, and that would proceed. So in my opinion, there's no harm in dealing with this matter now because your development agreement requirement is your protection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kelly. Councillor Hutchison, did you have a?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Thank you through to staff. We've kicked around a little bit around timelines around meeting the requirements. Do we have some indication of how long it would take for the owners to bring the operation into compliance from the building permit standpoint?
Through you, Mr. Chair, excuse me, to Councillor Hutchinson. It all depends on when a change of use permit application is submitted. So once it's in the hands of the building department, then there's a review process. I can't really comment on that. It's depending on the work volume and whatnot of the building department. I think the question is two parts in terms of the time to submit the required information to go along with the request for change of use, and that may be something, Mr. Chair, that the applicant's agent may wish to comment on in terms of what they view as being the timing to submit a complete application for a change of use permit.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vadamoncourt. I'll just hold off on any comments from the agent from the moment. Councillor Clark, did you have a comment?
A question to staff, if I may, through you, Chair. The 3C, the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit shall be obtained from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. That's a pretty common thing. Like, for example, if we were building a garage in a front yard and there was building permit requirements, we would have the same clause. So I think that's correct. Thank you. So if I may, Mr. Chair, I think it's important for us to delineate the building component and the zoning component. From my perspective, from staff's perspective, and from the professional's perspective, the planning part is there's a recommendation to approve the planning part, and that's what we're here to do tonight. It is not our jurisdiction to tell what the CBO may or may not do in the future case of a change of use permit. I think it's important that we stick to what our jurisdiction is, which is the planning application that is before us. And I think the staff have done a great job of highlighting, hey, we will approve this provided that this and this get done. And our approval only comes after those things have been done. So for us to defer it is just deferring something that we really don't ultimately have control over at the end of the day anyways, because the CBO and the applicant have to come to some sort of change of use agreement in the development agreement as noted and required by this recommendation. So
Thank you for that comment. Any further comments with regard to this? I think what we'll do now is just turn to the people who are registered to speak tonight, either on Zoom or in person.
We have five registrants, and the first one is Melissa Matota.
Ms. Matota, please just come up and adjust the microphone and state your name, please.
Melissa Matota. Oh, down here. Sorry. Hi, I'm Melissa Matota. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity to speak in support of the minor variance at 35 Nordic Trail. I live at 2 Iroquois Ridge. I'm a member of Horseshoe Valley Fitness, and Horseshoe Valley Fitness is a valued service in our community, offering small group personal training as well as a place for people to connect and improve their health outcomes. As many of you already know, there are many benefits to having a gym in the area, several of which serve to reduce isolation, assist with mental health, and contribute to healthy habits, all of which reduce pressure on our already strained healthcare system. Having a gym in the area will help ease this burden felt by many. From a safety standpoint, with walkable access, there are fewer cars on the road, thereby reducing the need to drive down Horseshoe Valley Road, especially during the winter months. Indirectly, one can also argue that it also serves as a community watch, ensuring a safer neighborhood for all. 35 Nordic Trail is the only house in the cul-de-sac. There are no houses directly across the street that would even directly see the activity. There's no loud music playing, and the gym members are always respectful of the community. In fact, most of the members live in the community. With this variance, the only thing that changes with how things are currently run is that 2 to 5 people that are currently inside the garage with the doors open in the summer months can now go out onto the driveway of the personal residence. So on the driveway, they may be jumping rope, performing farmers' carries, walking lunges, and sprinting. The music remains within the gym as it always has, and I believe we have always been very respectful of the noise. If you talk to those that attend the gym, you will know that it's a bit of a community meeting place. People are coming here to connect. So the music is always low to allow people to chit-chat while they train. Courtney also needs the music to be low in order to properly coach and train, as this is not a big box gym. This is a small group personal training gym. Lastly, there are first responders who train out of this facility with their jobs requiring them to be physically fit. Certain functional training movements can only be completed out on the driveway during the warmer weather due to the space constraints within the gym. If anyone would be concerned about the use of the driveway or this business impeding emergency use vehicles from accessing the cul-de-sac, it would be these individuals who support the gym. I hope that you will take this information into consideration when making your decision. I hope that you'll continue to support this valued community business and allow for its outdoor use in the warmer weather months. I also invite those who oppose the gym, those that live in the neighborhood, to come by, join a class in the summer, out in the sunshine. Actually take the time to learn and see for yourselves what this gym is all about. And I bet you will come to see how enjoyable it is and how friendly and accommodating the people are. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for that. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Michelle J.
Thank you very much. Ms. J, please. Just adjust the microphone to convenient height and state your name. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. My name is Michelle J, and I live at 4 Tanglewood Crescent. And very much like Melissa stated, I echo the sentiment. Supporting the minor variance, Horseshoe Valley Fitness is a place that provides health and wellness for a community, and it builds the community aspect of togetherness. It offers a high-level physical fitness class and brings people together and supports adults and children. The culture of the space is inclusive, supportive, and positive, contributing to the well-being of the community. When we first moved into this area a few years ago, one of the reasons we did so was to be active members of the community, and it was from this place that we felt welcomed and belonging into the community. With respect to the actual permit, the variance, we are only outside for a short period of time, and during the warm weather months, we are active on the driveway, but again, we are doing so with respect and quiet, no music playing outside, so we can hear each other and we can hear the prospective coaching that is being offered. No negative impact to the residents in character. The activity is simply low impact fitness. There is no loud music amplified, and their activities do not detract from the residents or the neighborhood. As mentioned, there is no one across from the dwelling, and there is no one immediately to the one side of the dwelling. The unique location minimizes any impact. 35 Nordic Trail is the only house in that cul-de-sac area, as mentioned earlier. Outdoor fitness should be encouraged. Outdoor movement aligns with the activities and lifestyle of the people who live in Horseshoe Valley. Biking, hiking, skiing, snowshoeing. Seeing residents engage in healthy outdoor activities in a positive model for the whole community. The parking is meeting all of the variance requirements as requested. And in closing, I'd like to say that I want to emphasize that Horseshoe Valley Fitness has had a truly meaningful impact to the community and to myself. It keeps people engaged in healthy movement right here in our own neighborhood, giving us a reason to stay local, and that travel elsewhere would take away from the community. And when people stay in the community, they support other activities, cafes, restaurants, shops, services, strengthening our local community and encouraging growth and the small variance support of a business that uplifts physical and social and economical well-being in our community. I hope that you'll agree that this is exactly the kind of positive contribution we want to have in our area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk, next speaker, please.
Kristen Strathman.
Good evening, council members. My name is Christian Strathman from Sugarbush. Well, let's see here. I'm not used to talking in front of a whole bunch of people, so just bear with me. I am here to speak in support of the minor variance of 35 Nordic Trail. I find it's a valued service in our community. I enjoy going there too. I'm one of the early guys there. Let's see what else I got here on my notes. Let's just try to break the ice, guys. So first of all, listen, if there's anyone here that needs any furniture to be moved, I brought some muscle. We can do this, okay? So anyhow, there's other homes in the area, but there's no other homes in the cul-de-sac. So talking about noise and stuff like that, and seeing things going on, well, there's really no one right there. As for noise, we play a little bit of music inside the garage. It's very low. In fact, this past spring, we had a black bear in the Taylor's backyard. As a hunter, a black bear will not come around if there's noise, okay? So we did all see that, and then it noticed that we were there, and that's when it ran away. So that right there is, that's good evidence. Let's see here. Yeah, living in Horseshoe Valley, I've been here for 12 years, and I came here for a reason, for fitness, for exactly what the others have already talked about with being outdoors, hiking, hunting, biking, and all that kind of stuff. So I do believe that having a place like this in our neighborhood is definitely beneficial. It's nice and close to home for me. For me to drive into town and then come back and get ready to go to work is just not feasible. So this place here is great, and meeting the people in that place is, meeting people is one thing, and getting to kibitz in the morning, talk about what's going on in the world. It's it's community. That's all it is really. At the time, I guess there was, you know, I was also parking in the cul-de-sac before we knew that it wasn't allowed. I have noticed that that has ended. There's plenty of space in the driveway right now during the winter for us to be parking in there. Plus, I've also noted that there are members that do walk to the gym. So really, for cars being parked on the road in the cul-de-sac, I don't see that happening anymore. Like they said in the presentation, parking on the road is allowed, and I guess between the times that we can't park there because of snow plowing, there is space in the Taylor's driveway during the winter months for the snow plow to come through there and to make it safe for people driving in there if they're going to do spin around. Let's see here. Well, I hope the committee sees that this request is very minor and in keeping with the intent of the township's policies and overall strategic plans. Thank you for hearing us tonight.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Deputy Clerk?
Derek Watson.
Okay, and just for the purposes of being able to move the matter along, could you speak to the matters that have not already been spoken to, if you don't mind, and particularly with respect to planning? I think we understand that there are a number of constraints in this minor variance application that have been recommended that address a number of the issues that we heard about. So I think we got the message. Thank you. So please proceed.
No problem. Thank you, everybody. Name is Derek Watson. I'm also in favor of the minor variances. I'm a seventh generation Oro resident, and I was a builder and developer for over 25 years in Oro-Medonte. I can easily say that I built probably between 30 and 50% of the houses in Horseshoe Valley over the last 25 years. So I have seen over the years, I would say easily for the people that I've dealt with and people moving in, anywhere between 40 to 60% of the people are having home-based businesses in Horseshoe Valley. We all know how great Horseshoe Valley is, and we know how great the community is. That's why everybody wants to be there. My emphasis is that I've seen everything from personal fitness, massage therapists, lawyers, accountants, businesses that have more than one or two people that have moved in. The enjoyment of living in Horseshoe Valley is that people come to Horseshoe for the whole idea of a different life for their children, and to the fact that they can have options to have options for their family. So with regards to the variances going on right now, this is just one more of the 40 to 65% of the people that live in Horseshoe Valley that have a home-based business. Ms. Taylor, the Taylors are doing the right thing. They love their community. I will honestly say that I have never seen a person that pushes for asking me countless times in a week or texting or asking about who for a service that needs to be done in Oro or one of their clients, and only wanting recommendations to use Oro people. So I do believe the idea about our allowing this, I do agree with putting some sanctions or some laws behind it and letting people have the opportunity to live and survive in Horseshoe Valley if we all can. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the music and everything like that. I'm getting older. I don't like things loud, and it's not loud at all. And as you can see, there's quite a few people here that really love having the opportunity, not having to go to Barrie and then coming back and interrupting their lives for this nice service that they have. So I want to thank the time for you guys, and hopefully this meets all your expectations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else registered to speak, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Yes, the last registration is Terry Gortnar.
Please proceed.
Hello, I'm Terry Gortnar, and I am the house on the other side of the cul-de-sac. And though everyone has come in, only spends 1 hour at the gym a week. I am someone that has to listen and effectively live across the commercial gym zone. The owners of 35 Nordic are running classes in the street and drawing a constant flow of strangers into our dead-end court, including having access to the gym 24/7. This is not a residential or neighborhood use. Our cul-de-sac is being used as a parking lot, a training space, and an extension of their business. This has had real impacts on our family. My blind son no longer feels safe going outside to access the path. Even before our 9-year-old passed, the wheelchair walks were dangerous. People are running to their class and trying to get there on time before the next class. And so they speed up and down. From 5 a.m. till 9 p.m., we see 10 hours of non-residents arriving, ones that aren't walking, and they say that they can fit, I don't know how many cars in their driveway, but I've already sent lots of pictures of cars parked on the street in the morning in the snow because they don't have parking in their driveway. They have 3 cars. You might be able to fit 6. We also see people training outdoors already without asking permission. They are taking huge equipment and dragging it up and down the road. And you can see this online in their videos. It's not anything new. That is the noise. There's no respect to anyone around them. The owners have repeatedly pushed boundaries, ignored bylaws, and have responded to concerns with aggressive behavior that has required OPP involvement more than once. Their request for a minor variance is not minor. It is a de facto zoning change that goes against the official plan and against the purpose of residential zoning, which does not allow commercial gyms, employees, or outdoor training. We have endured years of parking violations, road obstructions, winter hazards, and the ongoing safety risk of traffic to children who all live on this quiet cul-de-sac street. And you've seen that by the letters and the emails submitted from everyone on Nordic. We are asking the Committee of Adjustment to deny the variance, to ensure that there is meaningful enforcement of the bylaws already in place. And we hope that the township will take the lead in resolving this escalating and unacceptable situation so our neighborhood can return to a safe residential space and not a commercial gym. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, is there anyone else in chambers who wishes to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to ask the committee if they have any further comments or questions. Thank you very much. Councillor Hutchison, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, a couple of questions about the business itself, because I'm unclear as to what the hours of operation are. So could someone confirm what the hours of operation are for the business?
Mr. Chair, it's Andrea Kelly, the agent. If you'd like me to answer that question, I'm happy to do so.
Yes, please proceed, Ms. Kelly.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, there are 2 blocks of class times. One is 5:30 a.m. to 10:30, and the other one is late in the afternoon between 5 and 8 p.m. Those are the class times, and there are probably 2 classes in those blocks per day. Those are the hours of the class times.
Supplementary.
Supplemental, please.
Does the business have more than 1 employee?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, no, there is Ms. Taylor is the owner, and there is one part-time employee who does conduct a couple of classes a week, but that is the only additional employee.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, any further comments or questions? No? Okay. So I think personally I do have some concern about the issuance of occupancy under the building code prior to the property, rather issuing a variance, minor variance, prior to knowing that the property is appropriately constructed for the purpose for which we're issuing the variance. So I certainly respect comments to the contrary. The purpose of the building code is public safety, and I can't compromise that circumstance personally. So I'm wondering whether or not the minor variance could be made, if it were to be approved, could be contingent upon the occupancy permit. That is to say that should occupancy not be achieved, then the variance dissolves. Is there such an instrument in planning a temporary occupancy permit, perhaps for 6 months? And if we don't achieve compliance, then we meet again.
So, Mr. Chair, just to respond, and I know Ms. Kelly addressed this partially earlier, but with respect to the development agreement, there is a requirement that the occupancy permit be obtained, or change of use permit and occupancy be granted. So it's conditional on that. So if that condition is not met, then the minor variance isn't approved. I understand where members of committee are coming from with respect to the occupancy permit, but I think, as Ms. Kelly has indicated, and staff took a similar view, was that to put it in as a condition, it needs to be required. It needs to be met. So with respect to, I think, the second part of your question, if the applicants are not successful for whatever reason, maybe they choose not to proceed with a change of use permit or occupancy, then they're in violation of the building code. And so, there's a decision that would have to be made. And, the chief building official and I spoke about that, and he has mechanisms under the Building Code Act that he would proceed with. He doesn't want to go in that direction. He's working with the applicants, but the instruments are available under the Building Code Act to deal with it if the owner should, for whatever reason, decide not to proceed with or get approval for a change of use permit.
Councillor Hutchison, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vadamoncourt. Clearly, we've got a gallery full of community members with regard to this issue. And I know, just given the volume of correspondence that we've received, both in favor and in opposition of this home-based business, this, we can see here, it's demonstrated that this is something I think we need to be very mindful of as we go forward. We have the Planning Act, we have, the rules and regs that we need to abide by, and for those who are opposed to it, the business to the most part is running within those guidelines and within those rules. What my sense is and what my feeling is, and this is where we need to separate sort of the emotional aspect of things to sort of the nuts and bolts of what it is that we have to make decisions on. And I see why we're kind of going back and forth on the building code piece, and because I think for some community members there needs to be some assurance that things are going to be abided by as agreed to on these documents. And I think there's some concern from some community members that that's not going to be the case. And then, so how do we manage that if that isn't the case? So I think that's why perhaps the committee is looking at just some greater oversight through the building code to ensure that, everybody is sort of playing on the same playing field here. That's certainly the sense that I've gotten. You know, I appreciate that the business is so well received and absolutely can agree with many of the points that are made, but I have also heard, you know, concerns with regards to continuing problems that just don't seem to be getting any resolution. So how do is there some capability for us as the committee to ensure we've got a little bit more framework around this so that we can have some greater assurances for the community?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think Councillor Hutchinson, in terms of the terms and conditions outlined in the proposed development agreement, staff have tried to capture some of those issues and address them with respect to limitations on the number of people parking on the driveway, providing that 15-minute buffer between the end of one class and the commencement of another class, so that there is opportunity to park on the driveway to try to minimize the any potential disturbance, as well as move the outdoor fitness equipment to the rear patio. Again, any outdoor activities other than on the driveway would be restricted to the rear patio. So those things have all been included in that proposed development agreement, which the applicant has agreed to.
Supplemental?
Thank you. Supplemental. So I guess my follow-up to that would be, what mechanism do we have to ensure compliance?
Mr. Vandenboncourt?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So one mechanism is that the agreement gets registered on title, so it becomes part of the title of the property. And then from working with municipal law enforcement and our staff, if we hear that there's issues pertaining to the operation, then we could pursue that with the owners. We have an agreement. We proceed on the assumption that they're going to honor that agreement, and if there's issues that come up, we'll have to address it. And we very much respond on a reactive basis. So if we hear of a concern, then we certainly in municipal law enforcement will investigate and advise, and then take the appropriate action.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, please.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Through you to Mr. Vandenboncourt. I get it, and I think your recommendations in the report are great, where you move the equipment from being pulled out in the front and is pulled out in the back and the rear yard, where hopefully it is much less intrusive or disrupting to the neighboring properties. But I think what we need to address is, in order to approve this, is there needs to be what is a fair time parameter to give the operators of this business to achieve the requirements that are set out by the Ontario Building Code. So, there's a number of things on the list that they have to: fire separation and resistant ratings, and I believe a washroom that's put in place. And these aren't cheap items to deal with, and they're significant. So I think it is, and I think from speaking with the building inspector, as long as they're making progress towards fulfilling those things, but there needs to be, I think, a time parameter that is fair to the operators, but that they are fulfilling the requirements in order that they can get their occupancy and change of use permit. So what would be that time frame, and should it be implemented within the motion that we're approving today?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to His Worship, Ms. Kelly may have an idea in terms of how far along they are in doing the preparation to submit a application for a change of use permit. There's a number of requirements that need to be fulfilled. Some of those requirements will take time. So she may have an idea of what that time frame is. As I was indicating in a response earlier, there's two parts to this. There's the submission of the application. And Ms. Kelly may be able to give an idea in terms of when that might take place. And then there's the processing of the application, which is within the building department. So I think, Your Worship, I think to show progress, I think the first part of when do you think it might be appropriate to submit an application, and then if that time frame, if committee feels that that's something that they wish to include as part of the motion, then that's something that certainly committee can consider.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vetabancourt. Ms. Kelly, do you have any comment on the progress of the application for the change of use permit?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have been in discussions with the chief building official. This was brought to our attention last week, so there has not been a submission made yet, but we are actively working on it, and I do anticipate that it will be made as soon as possible. As you did note, there are a number of things that require to be addressed, and there are technical submissions that need to get made, but certainly the opening of the application on your online portal is something that could happen quite quickly, and then the submission of material would need to be done when that material is complete, and we are actively working on it. And again, I would say that the minor variance does not come into effect until such time as that change of use permit is in place, because that is a requirement of the development agreement. And I will also just add an additional comment that the minor variance, is one thing. The gym operation is another. We need to get the change of use permit regardless of whether or not there is a minor variance granted. And, the chief building official has been clear in his correspondence with us that there is nothing under the Ontario Building Code that would stop the gym from continuing to operate, even if there is no minor variance granted, while we are pursuing that change of use permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It raises an interesting point that should the operation continue in the meantime, without the minor variance in effect, then I presume that none of the conditions in the minor variance would be applicable until such time as the change of use permit and the issuance of an occupancy took place. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is absolutely correct. The minor variance will give the opportunity for some of the concerns that have been expressed by the community or at the community and discussed by the committee to be documented and enforced. Without the minor variance, the home occupation, the gym operating within the walls of the garage is a permitted use. There is no requirement for any changes to class times or anything else. So it would the comments that are made in the development agreement would not apply.
Correct. So my concern, and I'll address this to staff, is that the operation would continue without the restrictions of the minor variance until such time as the change of use permit was achieved. So for the next 5 or 6 months, the operation can continue as it is today. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Sorry, I apologize. Just so help me understand when in the conditions, and we've laid out, I believe the building department has laid out what has to be changed in order to fulfill the building code requirements. And if they don't really necessarily are connected to the outdoor uses as much as it's the change of use of the premise. So how can it continue to run as it is if we don't know that they're moving towards correcting those things, like as far as the safety, because a lot of these things in here are fire separation and stuff to do with safety. So how are we not liable for allowing something to proceed, knowing that, you know, this risk does exist, and we're like, are we turning a blind eye? I'm just trying to figure out how you piece the puzzle together.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'll attempt to respond, and perhaps the director may have some comments as well. But the chief building official has put the property owner on notice with respect to they are in violation. They need to submit a change of use permit. So he has done his statutory, has met his statutory obligation. He is working with the applicant. Obviously, the time needs to be taken to submit an application, et cetera, to do the review. My thought in conversation with the chief building official is that he's going to continue to monitor the situation, and if a period of time goes by where it doesn't seem to have any activity, then he has tools under the building code that he can pursue. But the approach that the building department has taken in similar circumstances is to work with the property owner to gain compliance with respect to the outstanding matter, and in this particular case, it's a change of use permit. He has assessed the life safety components of the situation and does not view the life safety matters as being hugely significant. They're there, but they're not hugely significant. So he is prepared to work with the applicant and resolve the change of use situation. Thank you. I'm not sure if the director has anything to add.
That's good. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Vadaboncourt, did you, sorry, Mr. Spagnell, did you have anything to offer?
Mr. Chair, no, I do not, other than it follows the model of the enforcement model where it's the inform, educate, and then enforce as a last measure. So it's all part of that cooperative philosophy to work with property owners to try to resolve any issues of orders of compliance.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to ask for any other comments from the committee, and then I'm going to call the vote.
I just one more comment,
Mr. Mayor, please.
Mayor, and that's, would 6 months suffice for them ample time? I don't want to, but would 6 months suffice the time to complete the changes they have to do? Like as far as the building code components, could they fulfill them? Would that be ample time to fulfill the requirements or requested requirements by the building inspector?
I think Mayor Greenlaw, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, to Mayor Greenlaw, I think it really does come down to, as Mr. Vadaboncourt has spoken to, it comes down to a couple of things. It comes down to pulling together all the documentation, submitting the required change of use permit. It comes down to preparing the plans and whatnot needed for construction, lining up contractors, things of that nature. So from staff's perspective, we would not be in a position to comment on what the timing could be for this. I'm sure Ms. Kelly could do so, and the property owner. So it's really difficult for staff to comment on the timing of the review process and the appropriate time to get this all completed. Again, it does require the cooperation of the property owner, applicants, and their agents, and then of course the monitoring of the chief building official to be keeping a close eye to make sure that things are moving along before moving things forward. So really, staff cannot comment on the timing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, if I may, I just think it's important that we, again, make sure we're not interfering with the chief building official's ability to do his job. I don't know if we have the authority to tell him or her, whoever sits in that chair, this has to be done by this point. I think it's up to their professional judgment in this case as it relates to the building code issues.
Yeah, and you're quite correct. We do not. And I think it was only meant as a marker so that if there were issues with regard to the progress of the application, then the flag would come up and we would revisit it at that time. Have there been any further comments received with regard to this application during the course of the hearing?
No, Mr. Chair, none have been received.
There have not. Okay, thank you very much. And with that, may we hear the motion, please?
To confirm, the draft motion is outlined in the report, or there was a comment regarding deferral?
No, I'm not. I'm withdrawing from deferring because as Councillor Clark has alluded to a number of times, what's before us as a minor variance is separate from the other issues. So I'm not putting a deferral on the floor.
Thank you for confirming. Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-134, George Vadabuncourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, minor variance application 2024-A40, Taylor, 35 Nordic Trail, be received and adopted. Two, that minor variance application 2025-A40, specifically to permit a home occupation to occur outside of the dwelling unit and to permit the display and use of fitness equipment outdoors on lands municipally known as 35 Nordic Trail, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-134. Three, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions with regard to the motion itself? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so I just have to, now you can go ahead, as long as we just maintain a quorum for while I finish off the hearing. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all of those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments in regard to the application. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, we'll just take 5 minutes, please, Madam Deputy Clerk. Is that... No, we don't have... Well, we do.
Mr. Chair, we're live.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for remaining and for your forbearance. We're moving on to item 60 on the agenda, which is application 2025-A43, Tara Seawich. My apologies, the name is pronounced incorrectly. At 1 Lakeshore Road East, this public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2025-A43 submitted by Rafal and Marta Tarasiewicz on lands municipally known as 1 Lakeshore Road East. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of a creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, have there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division dated November 21, Building Division dated November 24, Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority dated November 24, Township of Oro-Medonte Development Engineering dated November 25, Marcia Taverna dated November 30, David Johnson dated December 2nd, and Susan and Jerry Price revised correspondence dated December 1st, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. McCarroll, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The subject property is located at 1 Lakeshore Road East. The property is designated shoreline and zoned shoreline residential, and the current use of the property is residential. Next slide. The applicants are proposing to demolish the existing non-complying dwelling and build a new dwelling that encroaches closer to the interior side lot line. The variances that are listed on this slide and the following two slides are the variances that they had originally requested. And the applicants contacted us today saying that they were able to shift the dwelling further from the interior side lot line to address staff's concerns. So I'll go through each variance, what they had originally requested, and what their new variance is. So the applicants are seeking relief from the following sections of the zoning bylaw. So table B1, reduced interior side yard setback to be reduced from 3 meters to 2 meters. They are originally proposing 1.25 meters. Section 5.16.1A, a non-complying building can be replaced provided it does not further encroach into a required yard. The existing dwelling is located at 2.29 meters from the interior side lot line, and they're proposing a setback of 2 meters, so slightly closer. Next slide. Section 5.16.1B, a non-complying building may be replaced provided that it does not increase the usable floor area in a required yard, and they are proposing to increase the floor area within that required setback. Section 5.7C decks, this variance is no longer applicable because they're proposing a setback of 2 meters for the deck, and decks are permitted to encroach 1 meter into one interior side yard setback. So they now comply with this provision. So that variance is no longer in effect. Next slide. Section 5.9.1, architectural features are permitted to encroach into any required yard a distance of no more than 1 meter. The roof overhang is proposed to encroach 1.36 meters, meaning that they would have a setback of 1.64 meters from the interior side lot line, and the chimney is proposed to encroach 1.55 meters, meaning that it would be set back 1.45 meters from the interior side lot line. And the variance for the stairs is no longer required as it now complies with the zoning bylaw. Next slide. This is the applicant's site plan. The proposed dwelling is outlined in red, and the reduced setback would be along the easterly interior side lot line, which is on the right-hand side. Next slide. These are the east and south elevations. Next slide. And these are the west and north elevations. Next slide. The image on the left is an aerial image of the property. So you can see the existing dwelling, which is proposed to be replaced, and there is also an existing detached accessory building that is proposed to be demolished. And then the photo on the right-hand side shows the public notice sign that was posted along the road. Next slide. These are photos looking both east and west along Lakeshore Road East. Next slide. The photo on the left shows the existing non-complying dwelling that is proposed to be replaced. And then the photo on the right-hand side shows the existing detached accessory building that is proposed to be demolished. Next slide. This photo here shows the view of the property from Lakeshore Road East. Next slide. These photos show where the applicants are proposing their reduced interior side yard setback. They are proposing to encroach slightly closer than the existing dwelling. And the existing dwelling is located 2.29 meters from the interior side lot line, and they're proposing a setback of 2 meters for the new dwelling. Next slide. Planning staff had originally recommended deferral of the application, but now that the applicants are proposing to shift the dwelling further from the interior side lot line for a proposed setback of 2 meters, planning staff are now recommending approval of the application on the basis that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, it conforms to and is consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies. All the recommended conditions are standard conditions, including that they obtain a LSRCA permit and OLS pinning for the reduced setbacks. I'm available if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. I now ask the agents, Matt Reed and Ethan Parks, who are registered to speak to the application, if they have any additional information or comments with regard to the staff report. Mr. Reed and Mr. Parks, please.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can indeed. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Chair and committee members. My name is Ethan Parks, and I am the architectural designer from Sketch Design Build here today as the applicant for the owners of 1 Lakeshore Road, Raf and Marta, who are in attendance of this hearing to speak on our minor variance application before you. To touch base on and add to what Catherine's explanation was of our proposal, the lot is very narrow, narrower than the minimum required for shoreline zones. Based on table B1, the zoning bylaw minimum frontage for SR zones is 30 meters. This property's only street lot frontage is 25.71 meters, and the lakeside's frontage is only 23.12 meters. We also took into account the existing conditions of the site to avoid any removal of natural existing vegetation by positioning the residence to accommodate the existing driveway entrance and maintain the lakeshore frontage. The east interior side yard setback of the existing cottage was 2.29 meters, which was non-complying, as 3 meters is required, and we are proposing a 2 meter side yard setback instead of the original 1.2. I'd like to now call to the owners, Raf and Marta, who are in person today, to speak their case to justify the proposal. Thank you.
Yes, please come forward and
Hello,
adjust
good
the
evening.
microphone and state your name, please.
I'm Marta Tarashevich.
And Raf Tarasovich.
You have the same.
Okay, so the reason for the house placement at this point is to still have access on one side of the house to move the boat lift in and out of the water for the winter months. Also to have some sort of access to go down with a snowmobile or just walk any larger items down to the lake. There's cedars on the side of the property that we wanted to keep on the right-hand side. And the setback, it's only about 1.5 feet that we're asking for. The size of the house, at this point, we cannot change due to having 3 kids and my elderly parents moving in with us on the bottom level. So it's hard for us to do anything with the house in order to accommodate my parents on the bottom level and myself and my kids on the second level. The garage that we have planned for is used for residential use only. It's just to house my snowmobiles, ATVs, and a boat. Perhaps my parents' car. We can park outside. It's not an issue. We're trying not to get rid of any of the trees that are currently there and leaving everything the way it is.
Okay. Thank you very much. Committee members, any comments, questions with regard to the application? Okay, seeing none. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone who's registered to speak to this matter?
Yes, one registration was received, one additional registration, Jerry Price.
Mr. Price, please come up and state your name. And
good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members. My name is Jerry Price. I live at, or will be living at 3 Lakeshore, right beside the applicant's property, and the side of the applicant where it encroaches upon the 3 meter mark. We received a notice of application for our neighbor wishing to obtain a variance from the township of Oro-Medonte for a planned new construction of a home on their property. We do not object to the neighbor's desire to build a new home on their property, and we wish them success in this regard. It's a nice family. We've got to know them over the last couple of years as we've been building our home, and it would be wonderful if they also moved up to the area. We, however, strongly object to the neighbor's request for this variance approval, and we fundamentally object to our neighbors fundamentally oppose this request based upon the material reasons listed below. Furthermore, we object based upon the plan and request for the variance does not pass the 4 tests of the Planning Act. We find our hands tied, and therefore we are forced to object because of the severe consequences we'll suffer if this application is approved. Reasons for our objection. The proposed plan, and this was written this morning, I understand that they've changed now the meters from 4 feet to 6 feet, but it's the rationale doesn't change. The proposed plan encroaches within 4 feet from the property line we share with the applicant. To dig a foundation, the hole will be approximately 1 feet from the property line. We have approximately 8 mature trees, half of which are old walnut trees right along the property line on our side of the property. We believe the excavation within 1 to 2 feet of these trees will severely disrupt the roots and likely cause permanent damage or kill these trees. These trees are our only shade and greenery on this side of the property, and it would be devastating to damage or lose these mature trees. Currently working on a fully compliant home build project next door and speaking with our builder, we do not believe the foundation can be built and a 2-story construction can be achieved with less than the bylaw minimum requirement of 3 meters imposed on the property for equipment, scaffolding, and things that we've used ourselves in just completing this process. So the 4 feet, we don't believe that he can build in that space. The proposed building looks to be approximately 30 feet tall and 120 feet long. There was no dimensions on the drawings that were posted, but the ones that were posted has led us to believe it's about 30 feet tall and 120 feet long, with a foundation approximately 4 feet, now 6 feet from the property line. Our neighbor has had a historic problem managing groundwater that flows along his existing house towards the lake. In effect, within the last year, the neighbor has had to dig up his full side yard and install a significant drainage management system with pipes leading to the shoreline to prevent the water from entering his basement. His sump pump ran continually, and his basement continued to flood until he completed the construction of this new water management system. Apparently, the neighbors across the street have multiple sump pumps managing the water from an apparent underground stream that flows from the farm fields to the north towards the lake. By building such a large foundation and building this foundation within approximately 4 feet or now 6 feet from the property line, our neighbor is not able to replace the groundwater management system that he just finished constructing in the last year to manage the existing underground water. And we assume without this water management system, this new building foundation will divert some or most of the groundwater onto our property, where we do not have extensive water management systems installed, like our neighbor has just installed to solve his water problems. The diverting of the groundwater away from the neighbor's property onto our property will effectively divert and increase water flow right towards our water well, which is right beside the proposed new dwelling and in line with the water that would be diverted. We are concerned that this groundwater will contaminate our well water and cause harm to our well. The diverting of the groundwater away from the neighbor's property will divert it right into the back of our boathouse, which is not prepared to accept such increased water flow. This will deteriorate the boathouse foundation. The proposed building looks to be approximately 30 feet wide and 120 feet long, which will eliminate any sun from our property and increase a wind tunnel along the side of the neighbor's build plan and our house. Wind comes off the lake now, and if the distance between the buildings is reduced, the force of the wind tunnel will increase, effectively affecting our use and enjoyment of our property. The proposed approximately 30-foot tall, 120-foot long wall 6 feet from the property line will cause a visual distraction significantly beyond what is normal in the area, typically for home placement practices, for quiet enjoyment of individual properties within Oro-Medonte, or even a condition not common in the tightest built subdivisions anywhere. The idea of approving a wall larger than a typical highway billboard 6 feet from a property line is not only inconsiderate, but detrimental to the value of our property. Would you like to live within 6 feet from a 120-foot long, 30-foot tall wall? Would you buy a house beside such a wall? The proposed position of the house deck is proposed to be 4 feet from the property line, 6 feet now, 5 feet above the ground level, which will allow people on the deck to tower over people in our yard, eliminating any privacy we have on our property. This plan is not compatible with existing shoreline residential development in the area. Outside the variance requests, we object to the size and position of the property based upon the norm in the area. We are concerned that the proposed coverage of the land by the building and driveways virtually eliminates most greenery on the property, creating a cement build-out that is not typical of the waterfront area. The inclusion of 4 garages seems excessive, and the size and general appearance of 4 continuous garage doors is not consistent with the surrounding community. The assumption is that such a large garage structure and driveway, even though the existing neighbors, and we've spoken to Raf and Marta, and we understand that they wouldn't use it for a business practice, but if they were to sell the property, a future owner could use the garages and the extended height garage doors for a home-based business. Common courtesy that governs our home build that is not being provided to the community that we took into consideration that would be helpful for this particular build. In building our house, we were concerned of how our home would affect the neighbors, and we made changes at a higher cost to accommodate the neighbors. We specifically tried to be conscientious to the neighbors requesting the variance, even though the proximity between the 2 houses is narrow because their house is already within the 3-meter pylon barriers. Because we were approximately 20 feet from our neighbor's house, we limited the size of our building exposure by approximately 50% along their property when completing our architectural drawings and building plans and approvals. by setting back our primary house in an L-shaped pattern towards the other side of our property to minimize the side effect of our home on our neighbors. We did not build a continuous long wall along the property line. The plan submitted by the applicant completely misrepresents the house size and shape and makes the various variance requests less impactful than they actually are. And I have submitted attachment A with their representation of our house, of what shape it is. And our actual house is represented by the Schedule B, which is here, and you can see that we moved our house to the other side of our property, and our garage is significantly smaller, and this is an actual approved from the planning department, part of our approval. So that's the actual shape of our house, not the shape that is represented here and the impact that our house would have on our neighbors. We did not install under roof lighting on our roof overhanging Raf and Marta's side because we were closer. We did install it on the other 3 sides of our house, and we did this so that the light spill off from our roof wouldn't go under their property because their house was so close. We pushed our house back onto our pie-shaped property so that we could build our planned home well within the township bylaws and not require a variance that imposes on others. The rules are in place for good reason and should be respected for the reasons they're established. We positioned our raised deck so that we were not looking into any neighbor's property, so that we did not negatively affect the privacy and quiet enjoyment of their homes. We designed our garage so that it was integrated within our home form and not separate to make the structure look imposing to the neighborhood. It is not normal in the Oro Beach Lakeside residence to have a large style garage building 2 stories high with 4 doors. We designed our driveway so that it blended with the property and was consistent with similar properties in the area, opposed to creating a massive driveway for vehicle turning that filled the lot and eliminated the green space inconsistent with other residential homes in the area. Possible solution. As previously mentioned, we do not object to our neighbors building a new wonderful home. We suggest the following simple options to our neighbors so that we can build, they can build and achieve what they want. The continuous 4-car garage bays can be sectioned into 2 pieces. The home rooms are only planned to be above the first 2 garage bays, which are planned to house our neighbors' 2 cars. And that is Schedule C, that the report that I submitted. You can see their 2nd floor plan. Their house is here. Their bedrooms are here above the first 2 garage bays. And these 2 on this side of the green line represent the 3rd and the 4th garage door bays. We suggest that the garage 1 and 2 remain as part of the house plans. We suggest the 3rd loft bay section for the larger trucks and the 4th bay for the neighborhood for the neighborhood's storage be relocated to the existing place his existing block garage is built, and that would be Schedule B. Right here, we're proposing that that section of his garages stay with his house. These 2 that are for other items be moved where his existing garage is, and in parallel to their neighbor's garage, so that the two garages become back to back.
If I might, Mr. Price,
Yes.
we're unfortunately only here to consider the application
Okay.
that's before us, and there are no alternatives. So, regrettably,
right.
If you have further concerns that would speak to the minor variance issue, that would be appreciated.
Sure. So I'll just read my final thoughts then. How instead of what a plausible solution could be that we could agree to, because at the end of the day is that we're not preventing Raf and Marta, or trying to prevent them from building a wonderful home. We're preventing them from imposing and building a highway-sized billboard right along our whole property. We had no advance notice from the neighbors for such a proposed plan that such significantly impacts our quiet enjoyment of our home, plus likely property devaluation and precedent that it sets in the community. We have been approached. Had we been approached by the neighbors, we would have raised our concerns for these items, many of which we expected they may not have even been aware of, such as the groundwater, such as disrupting the tree roots, such as the impact of a 120-foot long, 30-foot tall wall along our whole property. Without notice, and since the effects are likely very significant for us, and the potential property devaluation in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, we are forced to stand up for our rights and protect the continual enjoyment of living in Oro-Medonte. My wife and I bought our retirement property because we believed the lakefront in Oro-Medonte would be a great place to enjoy with our family and to blend in with the quiet, friendly, courteous, and carefree community. This proposed plan seems counterintuitive to how the community has developed over time by the people living here, and the thought we had about the community. Approving this application will create many more problems for the community and significant damages and costs for us than the benefit that one person will enjoy themselves. We ask the committee to reject this variance application and guide the applicants back to design a new home that fits on their property, satisfies the township bylaws, and does not negatively impact the neighbors, either aligning with our solutions or another solution that they come up with themselves. We and everyone before us have had to design our homes to fit our properties, plus live by the bylaws and common courtesy norms in the area. So we do not understand why these neighbors should be afforded special and unprecedented treatment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there any other parties registered to speak?
No, there were no, Mr. Chair. There were no additional registrations received.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who came to speak to the matter? Seeing none. Yeah, I think we probably, heard. All right. The applicant wishes to speak again. Is this correct? Ethan wanted to say something. Oh, Ethan has his hand up. Sorry. Mr. Parks?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, yeah, I'd like to just address some of the neighbors' concerns, if I'm allowed. It would be quick, is just with the water drainage bylaw, we have to propose or get block grading on the property, so that'll be worked through. The property's been shifted over, so now it's a 2-meter setback for almost 7 feet, not 4. And yeah, I'd say those are the two main concerns with the side yard. Everything else seemed to be cosmetic.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Does any member of the committee have questions or? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Through you to either Brent or George on this application, the concerns that were addressed in regards to water flowing onto the neighbor's yard and stuff like that, all those matters would be addressed through site plan controller. Sorry, Catherine. Am I correct in assuming that?
So through you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie to Mayor Greenlaw, it would be addressed through engineered lot grading plan, which is a requirement as part of the building permit application.
So all those concerns that were mentioned would be addressed in order to ensure that they're mitigated, correct?
Correct. The drainage has to be maintained within their property. They cannot drain water onto the neighboring properties. So any proposed development has to adhere to the requirements. Camille, who's our manager of development engineering, provided comments in support of this application, subject to the applicants obtaining an engineered lot grading plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, kind of to piggyback maybe on Mayor Greenlaw's question, there were some concerns about some underwater drainage from other properties and possibly, so I understand, like what you're speaking to is surface water and drainage. Like, is there any way to, does that cover the underground stream that may be in this place?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Bard. The subject property will also be subject to Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority permit process, which would look at any ground-related and surface or underneath the ground, any type of impacts that the proposed construction would have, and also be required to meet the policies of the Lake Simcoe Protection Plan as well.
Thank you very much. The building as proposed fits within the maximum height requirement?
To you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie, that is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, and the other thing, what about the lot coverage? Is there a restriction there?
To you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie, there is no maximum lot coverage for a single detached dwelling. So provided that they meet all the required setbacks, we do not have a maximum.
Okay, thank you very much. And I guess the final question, I think it's the root of some of the concern is that the volume of space that the current structure encroaches into the required setback, although this is a legal non-conforming encroachment presently. But the new encroachment, the volume, I think, is greatly increased because we have 2 floors of volume over a much longer distance. And as I interpret the Mr. Price's comments, it creates, you know, a large wall against their property. Okay, so I presume that's just a comment. I presume there's no other than as is suggested, modifying the design, there's no way to change the minor variance at this point. Okay, thank you. Any further comments from members of the committee? Okay, seeing none, and there's no one else here registered to speak to the matter. And Mr. Karaskakis, has anyone
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received for this application.
Okay. All right, let me call the vote, please. Oh, sorry, we have to hear the motion, I think, first.
If I could have a mover and a seconder for the draft motion to approve as outlined by the senior planner.
Sorry, the mover is Councillor Clark. And the seconder is Councillor Young.
Thank you. Moved by Clark, seconded by Young. It is recommended that report DS 2025-133, Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, read minor variance application 2025 A43, Tara Sweets my apologies for the mispronunciation. 1, Lakeshore Road East be received. 2, that minor variance application 2025 A43, specifically to permit the replacement of the existing non-complying dwelling with a larger single detached dwelling that further encroaches into the required easterly interior side yard with the following setbacks. 1, the single detached dwelling is proposed to be set back 2.0 meters, 6.6 feet. 2, the roof overhang is proposed to be set back 1.64 meters, 5.4 feet. And 3, the chimney breast is proposed to be set back 1.45 meters, 4.8 feet on lands municipally known as 1 Lakeshore Road East, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved subject to the conditions as outlined and presented at the meeting. 3, that the applicants be advised of the committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you. Any comment on the motion? Seeing none, call the vote, please. All in favor? All opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, this closes the hearing and completes the application process. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation. The copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. With that, move on to item 6E, application 2025A42. The applicant is Dyson. The municipal address is 1985 Ridge Road West. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the minor variance application 2025A42 submitted by M. and Mark Dyson on lands municipally known as 1985 Ridge Road West. Please be advised the hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the minor variance application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, November 19, and Building Division dated November 24, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll now turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the minor variance application and any written statement received from the applicant. Ms. McCarroll, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The subject property is located at 1985 Ridge Road West. The property is designated rural settlements as it's located in the Shanty Bay settlement area, and it is zoned residential 1, and the current use of the property is residential. Next slide. Consent application 2024-B28 was approved by the committee on September 3rd, 2025 to sever 1 residential lot. And as a condition of consent, the applicant submitted this minor variance application to permit a reduced lot frontage and reduced lot area for both the severed and retained lands, and to also permit the construction of a new dwelling on the lands to be severed. Next slide. The applicants are requesting relief from the following sections of the zoning bylaw. For the lands conditionally severed, they are proposing a reduced lot area from 0.2 hectares to 0.09 hectares, a reduced lot frontage from 30 meters to 15.6 meters, and a reduced minimum first story floor area from 90 square meters to 71.3 square meters. And on the lands conditionally retained, a reduced lot area from 0.2 hectares to 0.09 hectares, and a reduced lot frontage down from 30 meters to 28.3 meters. Next slide. This is the applicant's site plan. The lands that were conditionally retained are outlined in blue, and the lands that were conditionally severed are outlined in red. Next slide. The image on the left is an aerial image of the property. The existing dwelling is located on lands to be retained, and the severed lands are located on the vacant portion, the south half. And then the two photos on the right-hand side show the public notice signs that were posted along both roads. Next slide. These are the views looking both east and west along Ridge Road West. Next slide. And then these are the views looking both north and south along O'Brien Street. Next slide. The photo on the left-hand side shows the existing dwelling on the retained lands. And then the photo on the right-hand side shows the new septic system that was installed to make space for the new residential lot. Next slide. The photo on the left shows the lands that were conditionally severed. The applicant is proposing to build a new dwelling on these lands, and they are requesting a reduced first-story floor area. However, they are still proposing to meet all the required setbacks, so they are not anticipated to have any adverse impacts on the neighboring properties. And then the photo on the right shows the view of the severed lands from O'Brien Street, and as you can see here, the property is heavily treed along the property lines to help minimize any impacts on the neighbors. Next slide. It is recommended that minor variance application 2025-A42 be approved, as it meets the 4 test of the Planning Act, and it conforms to and is consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township planning policies. All the recommended conditions are listed on this slide. They are all standard conditions, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. I'll now ask the applicant, M. Dyson, who is registered to speak, if they have any additional comments to provide with regard to the staff report.
Hello. Yes, I don't think I have any additional comments. If there are any questions.
You're available.
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Committee members, any questions for the applicant or for staff? No, seeing none. I think anyone else registered to speak to this matter, Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no additional registrations received.
All right. Anyone in chambers who came to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Any additional correspondence received during the course of the...
No, Mr. Chair, nothing's been received.
Thank you very much. Can we hear the motion, please, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Moved by Greenlaw, seconded by Bard. It is recommended, 1, that DS 2025-132, Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, minor variance application 2025-A42, Dyson, 1985 Ridge Road West, be received and adopted. 2, that minor variance application 2025-A42, specifically to permit 1, a severed lot with a minimum lot area of 0.09 hectares, 0.2 acres, and a minimum lot frontage of 15.6 meters, 51.2 feet. 2, a retained lot with a minimum lot area of 0.09 hectares, 0.2 acres, and a minimum lot frontage of 28.3 meters, 92.8 feet. And 3, a single detached dwelling on the lands to be severed with a minimum first-story floor area of 71.3 square meters, 768.0 square feet, on lands municipally known as 1985 Ridge Road West, Township of Oro-Medonte, be approved, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-132. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary-Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions with regard to the draft motion? Thank you very much. With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Ms. Dyson. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for their participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. With that, we move on to item 6F on the agenda, application 2025B20. The applicants are Smith and Dennis Smith. Municipal address is 2372 Line 11 North. This public hearing is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act to obtain public comments with respect to the consent application 2025B20 submitted by Barry Smith and Lorraine Dennis Smith on lands municipally known as 2372 Line 11 North. Please be advised that this hearing is being digitally recorded for the purposes of the creation of a public record. Only after comments are received from the public, township staff, and requested agencies will the Development Services Committee make a decision on the consent application. Madam Deputy Clerk, has there been correspondence received on this matter?
Correspondence received from the Township of Oro-Medonte Operations Division, November 18, Bell Canada, November 20, Township of Oro-Medonte Building Division, November 24, and Enbridge Gas dated November 25, 2025.
Thank you very much. I'll turn the meeting over to Catherine McCarroll, Senior Planner, who will explain the purpose and effect of the consent application and any written statement received from the applicant. Once again, Ms. McCarroll, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. The property is located at 2372 Line 11 North. The property is designated Greenlands and Rural in the Township's official plan, and it's zoned Agricultural, Rural, and Environmental Protection. And the current use of the property is agricultural. Next slide. The purpose of the consent application is to create a new residential lot. The lands to be severed are proposed to have a frontage of 91.4 meters, a depth of 109.1 meters, and an area of 1 hectare, and would be used for a rural residential use. And the lands to be retained would have a frontage of 498.6 meters, a depth of 671 meters, and an approximate area of 39.5 hectares. And the use would continue to be agricultural. Next slide. The image on the left-hand side is an aerial photo of the property. There is an existing agricultural building, which is located along Bass Lake Side Road East. And the area where they're proposing the new lot is along Line 11 North. And it's currently the area that's not being farmed. So they will not be removing any agricultural land out of production in order to build on the proposed lot. And then there are 2 photos on the right-hand side which show the public notice signs that were posted along both roads. Next slide. This is the applicant's consent sketch. The lands to be severed are marked in blue, and the lands to be retained are outlined in red. Next slide. These 2 maps show that the subject lands are currently designated Greenlands and Rural in both the county and township official plans. The portion that is Greenlands is shown in green on both maps, and then the portion that is designated Rural is shown in brown on the county map and then in white on the township map. The portion that is designated Greenlands contains a significant woodland, unevaluated and evaluated wetlands, watercourses, a floodplain, and an area of natural and scientific interest. Next slide. The map on the left shows the area in red that is regulated by the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. And then the map on the right shows the location of the proposed lot relative to those natural heritage features. And since the proposed lot is located more than 120 meters from those natural heritage features, an EIS was not required, as the proposed lot is not anticipated to have any adverse impacts on those features. Next slide. This map shows that the northwest corner of the property is zoned environmental protection, and the rest of the lot is zoned agricultural rural, including the location where they're proposing the new lot. Next slide. These photos show the views looking both north and south along Line 11 North. Next slide. This photo shows the view of the retained lands from Bass Lake Side Road East, and there is currently, you can see it in the distance, there's an agricultural building on the lands to be retained. Next slide. This photo shows the lands to be severed. This area was previously, it had an agricultural building, which has since been demolished. So as you can see in this photo, this area is not currently being farmed. Next slide. It is recommended that consent application 2025-B20 be approved, as the application conforms to and is consistent with the applicable provincial, county, and township land use planning policies, and it represents good planning. All of the recommended conditions are listed on this slide and the following slides, and they're all standard conditions. I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McCarroll. Now ask the applicants, Barry Smith and Lorraine Dennis Smith, who are registered to speak, if they have anything further to add to the staff report. And Mr. Barry Smith, if you can state your name and please proceed.
My name is Barry Smith, and this is Lorraine Smith.
Lorraine Dennis Smith.
And we have nothing further to add. It's pretty straightforward.
Yes,
Thank
it is.
you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your patience. Do you have committee members any questions for the applicants or for staff? Anyone else registered to speak to the matter? Madam Deputy Clerk?
No, Mr. Chair, there were no additional registrations received.
Anyone has come to chambers to speak to this matter? Seeing none. Anyone submitted any further communications during the course of the hearing?
No, Mr. Chair, nothing further has been received.
Thank you very much. With that, may we hear the motion, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-131, Chloe Patton, Intermediate Planner, Reconsent Application 2025-B20, Smith and Dennis Smith, 2372 Line 11 North, be received and adopted. 2, that consent application 2025-B20, Smith and Dennis Smith, be approved to permit the creation of a new rural residential lot having a lot frontage of approximately 91.4 meters, 300.0 feet, a lot depth of approximately 109.1 meters, 358.0 feet, and an area of approximately 2.5 acres, subject to the conditions as outlined in DS 2025-131. 3, that the applicant be advised of committee's decision under the Secretary Treasurer's signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions with regard to the motion? No, seeing none. With that, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? The motion is carried. The severance is made. This completes the application process and closes the hearing. The committee wishes to thank all those in attendance for your participation, and a copy of the decision will be mailed to the applicant, agent, and anyone who has submitted written comments or provided oral comments during the hearing in regard to the application. With that, we move on to the reports of municipal officers. First one being that of Mr. George Vadaboncourt, DS 2025082. Mr. Vadaboncourt, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief with respect to this. The report deals with both the official plan amendment for Craighurst South, as well as zoning amendment. It is recommended that the official plan amendment go forward for approval, and that the zoning amendment be held until such time as the site plan application for the development is submitted and staff have an opportunity to review the site plan application against the zoning bylaw provisions to see if any additional exceptions are required. The official plan amendment is in keeping with the Craighurst secondary plan, and it is in keeping with the settlement area policies of the township official plan. Be happy to take any questions that members of council may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vadaboncourt. Any questions for Mr. Vadaboncourt? Seeing none. With that, may we have a motion?
Moved by Young, seconded by Shell. It is recommended, one, that DS 2025-082, George Vadaboncourt, Manager, Planning Special Projects, Reofficial Plan Amendment Application 2025 OPA 01, Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application 2025 ZBA 25, Craighurst GP Inc., Concession 1, North Part Lot 40, RP 51R25120, Part 1, RP 51R30133, Part 1, Oro 3239 Penetanguishene Road, regarding official plan amendment application 2025 OPA 1 and zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 25, submitted by Craighurst GP Inc., applying to lands located in Concession 1, North Part Lot 40, RP 51R25120, Part 1, RP 51R30133, Part 1, Oro, Township of Oro-Medonte, be received and adopted. 2, the official plan amendment application 2025 OPA 01 that would serve to redesignate a portion of the lands currently designated living area in the current official plan to employment area and environmental protection, and redesignate a small finger of employment land behind the existing commercial uses on Penetanguishene Road from employment area to living area be adopted as amendment number 3 to the Township of Oro-Medonte official plan and be forwarded to the County of Simcoe for approval. 3, that zoning bylaw amendment application 2025 ZBA 25, specifically to change the zoning from the agricultural rural exception 15, ARU 15, to a village 1 exception V1379 zone, open space OS zone, and environmental protection exception 380, EP 380 zone, and to implement minor exceptions to the Village 1 zone to accommodate the proposed development on the lands and additional restrictions to the environmental protection zone to protect an area of cultural heritage significance. 4, that staff bring forward the appropriate official plan amendment adopting bylaw and zoning bylaw amendment for council's consideration. And 5, that the applicant be advised of the decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments on regard to the motion? Seeing none, may I call the vote? All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, we move on to DS 2025-135. Michael Barton with regard to 15 Guest Road. Can we have the motion, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. It is recommended 1, that DS 2025-135 Michael Barton, Township Planning Consultant, re-official plan application 2024 OPA 02 and zoning bylaw amendment application 2022 ZBA 13, 15 Guest Road Inc., 15 Guest Road, Township of Oro-Medonte, be received and adopted. 2, that official plan amendment application 2024 OPA 02 and zoning bylaw amendment application 2022 ZBA 03 submitted by 15 Guest Road Inc. for 15 Guest Road that would amend the township official plan to establish a site-specific exception under section 2.5 agricultural and amend zoning bylaw number 9795 as amended by rezoning the subject lands from the agricultural rural ARU zone to the agricultural rural hold exception 375 ARU 375H zone to permit an aggregate depot that includes open storage of sand and stone to be used for local landscaping and construction projects. 3C containers in proximity to the stockpiled aggregate material and a small silo to be used for storage of Portland cement be approved. 3, that the required holding H provision not be removed from the zoning of the subject lands until such time as the appropriate site plan is approved by the township, the related site plan agreement is registered, and the township has received the securities identified in the site plan agreement. 4, that staff bring forth the appropriate bylaws for council's consideration. 5, that the applicant be advised of council's decision under the Director of Development Services signature.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion? Seeing none, I have one. With regard to the traffic going in and out of this site, I think it stipulates a couple of loads in a week and a couple of smaller vehicle loads out once per day. Would that be stipulated in the site plan agreement?
To you,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor. Correct. The traffic brief that was prepared by the applicant's engineer consultant identified those were the traffic operations going in and out of the site. We will be reviewing that as part of a comprehensive site plan application with the applicant. And if there's any updates to that traffic study, then we will review that and incorporate any necessary provisions in the site plan agreement. But that was the understanding, that was the basis of the traffic brief to support their current proposal.
Okay, thank you very much. And I know that it can be difficult to monitor vehicular traffic on a daily basis, so I would ask that we consider including in there the weights, tiered weights in and out on a weekly basis so that we have some sort of a measure that the 2 trucks per day estimate is within reason. and that information be provided upon request by the township, by the applicant at the township's discretion. So thank you very much, and may I call the vote on the motion, please, if there's no questions or comments? And I see none. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, the remaining report is BS 2025-138, Andy Karaskakis. May we have a motion for this report, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Greenlaw. It is recommended that DS 2025-138, Andy Karaskakis, Manager, Planning Services, Replanning Division Activity Summary, Development Applications, Planning, GIS, and Heritage Committee Projects, January 2025 to December 2025, be received for information purposes and posted on the Township's website.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions with regard to the motion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry. Forgive me, too quick there. Councillor Bart?
Sorry, yeah, just one, and I don't have the page number in front of me, but I'll reach out to you. One of the maps was flipped over, so I'll reach out to you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you for that. With that, may I call the vote, please? All in favor? All opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. With that, the Development Service Committee meeting of December 3rd, 2025 is concluded. So happy holidays, everyone, and Merry Christmas. And we will next meet again on February the 4th, 2026. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Young. It is recommended that we do now adjourn at 8:25 p.m.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you. The motion is carried. And with that, I turn the meeting over to Mayor Greenlaw for the meeting after the Development Services Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. I'd like to call the meeting, this council meeting to order, Madam Clerk. May we please have the motion to adopt the agenda?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025 be received and adopted.
All in favor? Any opposed? There's none. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. May we have a motion for the draft minutes of the previous council meeting, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
Members of council, is there any changes to the draft minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to approve the recommendations of tonight's DSC meeting, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the recommendations of the Development Services Committee meeting held on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025 be adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for the draft bylaws, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2025-116 and 2025-118 be passed in open council on the 3rd day of December 2025.
Are there any questions with respect to the draft bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for the confirmation bylaw?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-131, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, be passed in open council on the 3rd day of December 2025.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to adjourn?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 8:27 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a great evening.